Welcome back. So, what is higher education's dirty little secret? It's over-reliance on part-time faculty in order to minimize the amount of permanent, full-time professors. Now, in order to pay for the out-of-control costs of the modern, corporate, higher education institution, colleges and universities try and save money on teaching, their core mission. We're going to take a look at exactly how institutions save money with part-time teaching labor, and more importantly, how it impacts your experience and the quality of education you receive. So stick with me and we'll go behind the closed doors of the ivory tower here at the College Insider. How do institutions save money by hiring adjunct professors? In many ways. The first is a little obvious. When they hire part-time professors, schools don't have to pay for retirement or health insurance, which is always costly. Yeah, good thing we don't have socialized medicine. There's also life insurance and other kinds of benefits, and not paying for these benefits is a chunk of money. But the main way schools save money by using adjunct professors is by paying less for teaching. Radically less. Here's how. Let's say the average professor makes $60,000 a year. Yeah, that's pretty much average, so not a lot of money there to begin with. Now, let's say that a professor has a 3-in-3 teaching load. That's 6 courses for $60,000, which comes to $10,000 a course. Here's where colleges save their money. They usually pay adjuncts less than half that amount. Depending on where you are in the country and the wealth of the institution you're looking at, the going rate is anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 a course, and there are lots of places that pay less. And keep in mind, because they are part-timers, they're never going to really get promoted and paid more, which is another way that institutions save money. All right, but does paying professors less actually impact the quality of teaching that you are going to get as a student? Yes, and here's how. Remember, in the old days, colleges had lots of full-time professors teaching lots of courses. Professors retired, colleges grew, new majors were created, and that made a way for most of those newly minted PhDs working as adjuncts to get full-time jobs. Now, however, colleges and universities are absolutely top-heavy with overpaid administrators and have far fewer full-time faculty. Because it's harder to find a full-time job, adjuncts stay adjuncts for a very long time. Some of them for most or all of their careers. What that means is that your part-time professor is likely teaching a course or two at your college, but then 3 or 4 more at other schools just so they can make a living. Remember, a 4-course teaching load is not reasonable. Many adjuncts are teaching 5 or even 6 courses a semester, and they have to spend time fighting traffic while driving around to all those different schools to get their job done. This has several implications for you. First, of course, it means your professor is not going to have the time and energy to put into the course and into individual assessment. Of necessity, they're going to have to find ways to cut corners. Second, it means your professor is going to have less time to meet with you and work with you outside of class. Yes, adjuncts hold office hours, but their ability to schedule outside those hours is going to be greatly compromised. But for the sake of argument, let's say you find an adjunct professor who is excellent and really helps you develop and learn as a student. In fact, let's say you take a course with an adjunct professor and they turn out to be the best professor in the department. Hey, I've taught it as an adjunct before, even late in my career, and a lot of students let me know that I was far more effective teacher than the full-timers that were there. Well, here's how 2 more shortcomings of the current system are going to kick in. Even when an adjunct professor is really good, you won't be able to take them more than a couple times. It's not just that they only teach 1 or 2 courses a term, but most of the time, they only teach a couple of specific courses, period. So you take them for a foundations course, and they're fabulous. Well, the department is going to keep them in that foundations course, and maybe let them teach a different course, but that's usually going to be about it. That means, of course, that when you're in a place that uses mostly adjuncts, you're not going to be able to work closely with a professor throughout your college career. And that's a real liability, especially after you graduate. When it comes time to apply to grad school or law school or med school, you're going to need recommendations. And those recommendations are going to have to be detailed. Not only that, but graduate programs value recommendations from full-time faculty more than they do adjuncts. It's a simple fact that if you get a glowing, detailed recommendation from the chair of your department, it counts more than a glowing, detailed recommendation from a part-timer. And don't think because you are looking at a selective university that you won't encounter this problem. You certainly will. In fact, they can be some of the biggest culprits. Look closely at the departmental website and see how many people are actually in that department with the title of assistant or associate or just professor. You'll be amazed at how many times you'll see only a couple of people. And just like with overworking the faculty, colleges will make excuses for over-reliance on part-timers. The most common is to overemphasize working professionals as an institutional decision to give students real-world experience and lots of networking. Yeah, that's BS. First, you're not at college for job training. You're there to develop your intellectual capacity so that you can master any career. Now, most of you will have 2 or 3 different careers, so it's all the more reason to be smart rather than specifically trained. Look, this is the last time in your life you will dedicate your time to improving your mind. If all you want is real-world experience, then apprentice with a union. You'll come out way ahead financially in most cases and without the debt. But if you really want to prepare to enter the professions, you need a school that's going to develop your intellectual abilities to their full potential. The other marketing term that is becoming really popular is colleges will say that they want to be nimble in their course offerings and staff. Yeah, that's just a cover statement for not having more permanent people that are invested in the institution. And once again, it's following a vision of higher education as job training. And students and their parents are really seduced by this job training angle because the price tag for college is way too high. Something we'll talk about in another episode. The point here is, because college is so expensive and people are going to go into debt, they want to make sure they'll get a job out of it, which is all very fine and good. But again, remember, your generation will most likely change careers 2 or 3 times in your life. So training is a lower priority. The most important thing to professional advancement is not how-to training, it's intellectual training. Being a critical thinker, having the ability to analyze complex problems, communicating solutions effectively, these are the most important skills. These are what you want to get out of a 4-year degree. And it's a lot harder to obtain that when you have a hodgepodge of professors that you only take 1 or 2 times through your 4 years. So a brief warning. This question will not make you popular. As I said before, this is the dirty little secret of higher education. But it's going to remain a secret, and it's going to negatively impact your education until people start asking. And the best place to ask is on your college tour. Make it public. Make them answerable before people commit. And don't commit until you find a place that has the right answers. That's how you'll find a place with potential for getting a good education.